Hey everyone, it's Daniel from Cubatica here. And today, as you can see on the whiteboard behind me, we're going to be talking about agency versus in-house. When does each one make sense? What are the pros and cons? And what's right for your business? So the reason I'm recording this video is recently we had someone approach us and say, hey, I really want to get my performance marketing going. I really want to scale. I really want to grow, but I'm not really sure whether someone in-house would be better than an agency. I have some concerns about agencies and basically asking us what we thought. We get this happen from time to time because we tend to be very straight shooters. If anything, we're very picky about who we do take on because A, we want to make sure anyone we bring on, we can really hit a home run for and make them a lot of money because our reputation is important to us. And B, we value our sanity and our work-life balance and all that sort of thing. So we want to make sure that anyone we are bringing on, they're fun to work with, we have mutual respect, we're on the same page with goals and all that sort of stuff. So what that means is we have a culture where people can come to us and ask us questions and know they're going to get an answer instead of the answer that would, be pushing them to hire us. So all that said, let's talk about agency versus in-house, when it makes sense, when it doesn't. So the biggest, concern that people have about hiring an agency, well, there's two big concerns. The first one is that it's expensive. And the second is that they wonder, am I going to get the same amount of effort and focus to my campaign as I would if I just hired someone in-house? That's a great question. It's a very fair question. And on the surface, it makes a lot of sense because the guy who you hire, he's going to have one job. That one job is working on your campaign. That's it. Your business. He doesn't do anything else. He's not going to have any distractions and all that sort of thing. So on the surface, it makes a lot of sense to hire that guy as opposed to an agency. Now, before we go any further into this video, I'm going to say I don't think it's a bad idea to hire in-house, depending on certain factors. The issue with hiring in-house, and this is something that I've found personally, in my companies, is that it's very difficult to get a media buyer who's very good, who's willing to settle for just a salary to work in-house. Now, if you want to make a deal with someone and say, hey, I'm going to cut you into a part of my company and you're going to run my media buying, you might get someone really, really good, but that's a bit of a different situation. A lot of people don't want to do that for obvious reasons. So generally speaking, the people you are going to get in-house are not going to be as skilled as the agency media buyers or even the freelancers who are essentially just a smaller, generally one-man band agency, in that they have a lot of the pitfalls, but they don't really tend to shore up as many of those pitfalls, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the people you're going to get in-house, the guys who are going to come and work in your office with everyone else, or at least were we not in the situation we're in now where working from home is much more advisable, then generally, and there are always exceptions, and I don't want to talk anyone down here, but generally speaking, they're not the A players. They're not the guys who have all this experience and whatever, because the guys who do have that experience, they know their skill set's in demand, and they know that they can get a lot more than the $80,000 or $100,000 a year or whatever that they're going to get paid to sit in a cubicle, basically. So generally speaking, the guys you hire in-house won't be as talented. That's not always a problem so long as you have a really good plan in place to train them. So if you're really good friends with someone who's a ridiculously good media buyer who is willing to spend the 3 or 6 or 12 months it takes to train them, if you already have a phenomenal media buyer in your organization, you just need to add more, then a lot of times that's when going in-house makes sense. But of course, it costs a lot of money to set up that infrastructure, have all those people, and you need that training there. So for most of us, our options are basically hire a agency or get an in-house guy who's going to, honestly, most of them really do their best, but they just don't have the it's not that they don't know what they're doing, but they're lacking a few key things that an agency has, which can sometimes be important. So let's talk about that. Put it down on my whiteboard here because I forget things if they're not written down. So When does hiring an agency make sense, and what are the pluses that an agency particularly brings? So first of all, more data means faster results. So the cool thing to me about having an agency and working in an agency is we have all these people coming together who have a lot of experience. Okay, so if you hire a guy in-house, that's one guy. If you hire a freelancer, that's one guy. You go to an agency, they might have 2, 3, 5, 10 media buyers, hopefully very, very good media buyers. And each and every one of these media buyers has their own experience that they bring with them into the company, especially if the agency is good about only hiring A players. So they'll bring these people into the company, and each of them has their own background and the projects they've worked on before. And that allows a lot of kind of us to shortcut, well, the agency, when I say us, to shortcut the process in figuring out your ads, because we've done it many times before, either in the same vertical, the same marketplace, or at least something very similar. So people will come to us, let's say, for example, they sell a health supplement, and it might be a supplement that does whatever, some kind of helps your health get better in some way, right? And they'll come to us and be like, here's our supplement, we want to sell this. And we'll go, great. We already know, based on past campaigns we've run, we've already probably got a pretty good idea of who your target demographics are. We know what kind of interest to target them on. We know what kind of websites they hang out on. We know what their biggest pain points are. We know all this stuff that if you hire an in-house guy, they're starting from scratch. We're not starting from scratch. We have all that stuff. We've figured it out time and time and time again. On the creative side as well, and the actual ad side, we can look at past campaigns that we've done, and we have historical data. We can say, when we did this thing, it went really well. When we did that thing, it wasn't as good. So let's take this thing that did really well in the past, do a slight variation of it, and get our clients an immediate kind of big win and result. And that's one of the reasons that Cubatica as an agency, we're able to get results really quickly out the gate, because we have access to all that past data, that past experience, which frankly just isn't something that you're going to get, most of the time you're hiring in-house. So that's the first thing. Second of all, connections help. The great thing about running an agency is over the years, you get a lot of connections you can draw on when you need a favor, when you need something gets stuck, or anything like that. So as an example, we have clients who every now and then, Facebook lately has had a couple of issues with banning accounts that shouldn't be banned, or flagging ads that shouldn't have been flagged, and all that sort of stuff. So if you have ever gone through this process, you know what it looks like. Your account gets banned, you reach out to Facebook and say, hey, Facebook, my account's got banned, and you wait a week, and they'll get back to you and be like, oh yeah, well, here's a canned response that really doesn't address what you're talking about. And you'll go back to them being like, no, I haven't broken any rules, I haven't done any of the stuff you're talking about, but you still banned me, please look at my account. And you'll wait another week, so it's been 2 weeks by now. And they'll get back to you and say, you know what, okay, yeah, we looked at everything, and it looks like you actually didn't do anything wrong. So we'll totally get on that. And then you wait another week, so that's 3 weeks. Now your account's back and cool, you can start running ads again until the next time it happens and starts the process. And of course, when that happens, it's killed your spending a little bit, it's killed your AI data gathering a little bit, so you're not starting from scratch, but it's not an ideal situation. Now, if you have an agency who has, for example, an enterprise Facebook rep, which you're unlikely to get on your own unless you're spending millions and millions of dollars a year. But of course, our agency has one because we have so many clients, and some of those clients are big spenders. We do spend a lot of money on Facebook, and we do have an enterprise rep. So we can go to our enterprise rep and say, hey, you guys have accidentally banned this client's account. You shouldn't have banned it. Can you please help us out? And in a day or two, they'll get back to us and go, oh, hey, I escalated this. It's all fixed. It's all done. Here's your account back. So in one example, you're waiting 3 weeks to get up and running again. The other example, you're waiting 2 days. Further to that, we can turn around to our rep and say, hey, can you please make a note as much as you can on this client's account that, can we get pre-approval for this and that? Can you make sure that this doesn't get flagged? And there's a lot of little tricks like that we can do to kind of cut down on those kind of instances of that stuff. The truth is you just don't have those abilities if you're doing this on your own. It's not necessarily a level playing field in that way. And I believe that, take whatever advantage you can get. And that's one of them. So that's another thing that we do there. That's just one example. There are a bunch of different connections we have. You might be like, oh, I'm trying to get my products into this particular store. And we can be like, well, we know a guy who might be able to help you with that. Or, we talked to that guy at a conference way back and we can connect you. Or, hey, I really need some help getting my emails written or something like that. And we'll go, hey, we know the guy. We talk to we hire a lot of email copywriters. We know a lot of email copywriters. This guy used to work for us way back when. Maybe he'd be a good connection for you. So that's something else an agency can really help you with, at least a good one, who's been around a while. They've got the connections, industry experience, all that sort of stuff. Number 3, more staff means more focus. And what I didn't write down here is more efficiency. So the cool thing about this is if you have an in-house guy, obviously he's going to be doing, let's say his job is Facebook ad management, right? And there's going to be sometimes he is managing Facebook ads when he's not in meetings or answering emails or talking at the water cooler or maybe doing, finding images for ads or, all this sort of stuff. So a big concern people have is they say, well, we're hiring this guy. We got him 40 hours a week or whatever it is, and he's only working on our account. And on the surface, it sounds like an agency would never be able to compete with that until you realize that A, the agency ad buyers are probably a little more efficient. B, they have a lot more tools to help them be more efficient. So even if they're spending, let's say, 2 hours instead of 8 on your account, they're probably getting done as much as that other guy is in 8 hours. Then, for example, the way we run our agency, our media buyers, we do as much as we can to just focus them on doing nothing but buying media. You guys work on ads, you work on account management, stuff like that. That's it. We have dedicated account managers to talk to the clients and hear their concerns and everything. And then those people can go back and deal with the ad management specialists and stuff like that. So we have like a whole admin team. We have a copywriting team. We have all these different subsets that are able to chunk up the work for a campaign so that everyone's doing what they're best at and most efficient at, almost like an assembly line. So that's why it can be a little bit counterintuitive, but often an agency can actually provide you greater efficiency and greater results because of all that. Okay. Number 4, think tank principle. If you have a guy in-house, there is one guy. I can't speak for every other agency in the world, but I know, again, you hire us. We have, for example, 4 really high-level account strategists who we're all, to use the term, A-players in our own right. We've all owned our own businesses. We've all made our own millions and stuff like that. And then we're looking at these accounts and kind of strategizing on them. So instead of just having one guy who's kind of good, you get 4 really good guys looking at your account, strategizing, figuring out how to grow it, how we're going to reach our goals, how we're going to stay within KPI. Oh, here's a really cool idea that we can do as a promo, and passing that back to you. As a lot of times, for example, my background is direct response copy. As a lot of times where I'll see upsell opportunities, or hey, have you guys ever thought of doing this sales page with this angle or something like that? And just those little ideas, it's essentially free consulting from some very high level people, and it can make a lot of money. In addition, we're applying that into the ad work that we're doing for people. So there's a lot of synergy there, and things tend to work out really well. Finally, specialization with all channels equals money is basically what I'm trying to get at here. So the cool thing about our agency particularly is we do Facebook ads really well. That's where we started. That's kind of what a lot of people know us for. We also do Google ads really well, both search and display. We do YouTube ads really well, and we also do native ads. So those are 4 different channels that we can do. Now you can go ahead and you can hire one guy for Facebook. You can hire an AdWords guy. You could hire those 4 people, right? Which would be very expensive, but you could do it. What usually happens with an in-house guy is they'll hire a media buyer, right? Okay, you do our Facebook, you do our Google, you do our YouTube, you do our native. And the issue with that is they're all different platforms, and they're all require specialized skill sets. And you end up hiring a jack of all trades, master of none. Now, the other option is you can go and hire 4 different guys. Each one of them is going to be good at what they do, and maybe not as good as someone you get in an agency for the reasons we've spoken before, but they'll all be good. But what ends up happening is they tend to lack a high-level strategist to tie it all together. So the Facebook guy is doing his own thing, the YouTube guy is doing his own thing, but they're not really talking to each other. Now, an example of how this could play out is we had a client once who was doing really well on Facebook. They were crushing it. They were getting 3 times ROAS on their front end alone. That's 3 times return on ad spend. So for every dollar they were spending, they were getting $3 back. And that, again, that was just on the front end. So by the time you included, after a week, the customer spends this much. After a month, the customer spends this much. After 6 months, they spend this much. They were killing it. They came to us, they said, originally they started out with Facebook with us, and they said, well, we want to launch Google. I said, okay. So they launched the Google thing themselves. They were getting traffic, it just wasn't converting. And they kind of came to us and said, look, we've tried to figure this out. We can't. Can you guys help us? And I said, sure. So we got our Google guy on it, and we did a lot of testing, and for whatever reason, we found that the Google audience just didn't really convert with their offer. Our theory was that just based on the different states of mind people are in when they're on those platforms, Google versus Facebook is very different. And for whatever reason, people were in a huge buying mood when they're on Facebook, but it wasn't really happening on Google. So we came up with a strategy where we took that traffic, we created a bunch of traffic on Google, and we kind of sent it through our Facebook account. I'm trying to keep this not very technical so that everyone understands it, but we sent it to, we pixeled that traffic on the Google account and we sent it through to Facebook, and basically then we were creating new audiences and new AI for Facebook to show ads to, and then the people were converting like crazy. But that was a sort of holistic approach that we'd put together there. If you don't have the one agency handling everything, it's not impossible, but it is way harder for them to see those crossover opportunities and stuff like that. So that's just kind of an example of how that works out. There's a lot of ways in practice that it pans out, but having specialists who are really, really good at the one thing they do and then uniting them in an overarching sort of philosophy can be really, really powerful. And that's basically what we do here at Cubatica. So in conclusion, I don't think that hiring an agency is for absolutely everyone. But I personally believe that if you find a good agency, and this is again, a topic for another time, but if you find a really good agency, generally speaking, in my opinion, that's the fastest and easiest way, unless you are in your own right an absolute monster media buyer. And we do have clients like that actually who are very good, and they've just turned around and gone, you know what, I don't want to deal with this stuff. You guys deal with it. You know what you're doing. I'll just check in once a week to make sure everything's cool. But those people, who are really good, they can go and put together their own team and stuff. What I personally find is that if you don't have that, you're better off going to the experts, the guys who do it every day, the guys who are really good at it. And it looks like it costs more up front. But generally speaking, the results I found is that I would say 4 out of 5 clients are absolutely shocked at how quickly they get results. We tend to err a bit on the side of caution, I think, when we onboard them and we say, look, it might take you this long to see results. And a lot of times they get them much faster than that and they're really thrilled. But again, that's because we have all that experience behind us. We've done this so many times before, and we kind of know what we're working with. We know how to do it quickly. If you don't have that, it can be a lot harder. So I think, to me, I hope this is kind of shared a bit about what I think are really good, helped you understand a little bit more about the pros of an agency, how an agency can work when it's run correctly, and the times that in-house teams work as well. If you have any more questions, stuff that I maybe have forgotten to mention or haven't mentioned, or you have more questions or you want clarification, just comment below. I'll either get back to your comment or I'll do another video or something like that so you can get your question answered. And as always, if you have a business that you're really looking to scale some paid traffic on, some digital advertising, you want to get more leads, more sales appointments, whatever it is, get in touch with us. We, not to toot my own horn, so to speak, but I think our agency is really good at getting results. Our clients agree, and we'd love to talk to you and at least get a sense to see if we can work together and what we might be able to do with your business. Okay, thanks everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video, and looking forward to your comments. Have a great day.